Church T leaders and staff. Pastor Aaron here. I want to do a leadership check-in. As you can tell, I am outside, so there's a little extra noise than normal, but I hope it doesn't impede what I intend to share with you. It's been a little too long. We didn't have a group leaders meeting this past week just because of all the things that have gone on, extra meetings and stuff. In light of the partnership with Grace, we're trying to figure out where we're going, what we're doing. But I wanted to also do a check-in, which I haven't done since the end of September, or August maybe, wanted to just check in with you. There's a message I'm going to share at Grace this coming Sunday about the importance of follow through. And that's been one of the things we've talked about at our last couple small group leaders meetings, and just the emails I've sent you have been about the importance of follow up and follow through. And I want to talk a little bit about that, about the power of follow through. In John 14, Jesus is about to vacate. He's about to be tried and crucified and buried and resurrected and ascend to heaven. And he's in the process of giving his apostles, his disciples, his last thoughts about what they need to be about doing. And in verse 15 of John 14, you'll find an idea here. In verse 15, he talks a lot about beginning the process of follow through, and he's given them a lot of things to consider and do. And then he makes a statement about what should motivate it. Here's the idea: must be love motivated, not duty based or notoriety oriented. Your follow through has to be because of love. John 15, he says, "If you love me, you'll keep my commandments." Now, most of us want to sit and think about the top 10 commandments. We're going to talk about but really what he's encouraged them to do, he's given them commands about how life ought to be led, how they ought to proceed with ministry in his absence. And so the commands are, we know, love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength. Love your neighbor as you love yourself, and love one another as I have loved you. And then he tells them in Matthew 28, as he's ascending, he says, teach your disciples to go make disciples of all people. Teach them everything I commanded you. And so the idea of the commandments aren't these list of necessarily don'ts as much as they are the list of do's, what you ought to be about doing. And so today you guys are leaders because you've taken a calling from God and begin to carry it out. And my encouragement to you is let love be the motivation behind all of it. Don't let it be duty. Don't let it be that you'll be noticed. Let it be love motivated. He goes on to say that the Holy Spirit will follow your follow through. Listen to verse 16, and keeping it in context. He just told them to love me, keep my commandments. And he says, and I will ask the Father, once you follow my commandments, follow through, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. And so here's the idea. The power of the Holy Spirit attends to those who are in the process of following through on the callings and the purposes and the commands of God. And so when we want to see the Holy Spirit at work among us, we have to be leaders who follow through, who start something and finish it. We don't get any reward for starting. We only get rewards for finishing. And here's the idea. Finishing is following through. Listen, and the Holy Spirit will be right there. He'll attend to everything that we do because we're following through on what God commanded us to do. Not our own thing, but his thing. Listen to the next part. The path of follow through leads to an unknown place sometimes, and not everyone goes with you, but life is in the destination of follow through. Listen to what he says in verse 18. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world will see me no more, but you will see me because I live. You also will live. Now he's saying, listen, there's going to be some time where you're going to wonder what's going on. You're going to feel like orphans. You're going to feel like, man, things aren't, I don't know where we're going or what we're doing. So but I'm going to be there. It may lead to an unknown place. It may lead us to a point where some people ditch and run. But at the end of that, there's life. As we follow Jesus, he bestows life upon us. Zoe life, full life, satisfying life, life more abundantly. But we got to follow through. And so keep going. Jesus. The other thing I find here is Jesus manifests himself in your follow through. Listen to verse 20. In that day, you will know, in the day you're following through, in that day you'll know that I am in the Father, and you in me, and I in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them, again, out of love, he it is who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him. Some of you maybe not be making good on the calling and the purpose of God, and you wonder where Jesus is. Well, here's the idea. Follow through. Until he tells you to do something, really stay with it. And don't just stay with it committedly. Don't do it halfway. Follow through all the way and watch Jesus show up. He'll show you fruitfulness in your ministry. He'll show you fruitfulness in your relationships. He'll show you fruitfulness in your discipleship. He'll show you fruitfulness in your prayer life. He'll show you fruitfulness in your devotional life. He'll show you fruitfulness in your teaching and your discipling if you're following through out of love for him. That'll show up there. Another thing he tells us is the Father dwells in the place of follow through. Listen to verse 23. Jesus answered him, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word. There he gives again. That's follow through. And my Father will love him, and he will come to him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. The presence of God, the Father, lives in the place where people are falling through. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words. And the word that you hear is not mine, but the Father's who sent me. The important thing is God had a plan. He's followed out. He's picked us out to help be a fulfillment of that plan. So as we follow through, he lives there. His presence is known there. Last thing I see. Peace and encouragement supersede fear and discouragement as you follow through. Jesus goes on to say in verse 25 through 27, these things I've spoken to you while I am still with you. But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to remembrance all that I've said to you. And sometimes we're journeying, when we get sidetracked, the Holy Spirit will bring us back on as we're attempting to follow through out of love. And then he says this, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. I'm not taking it back. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither be afraid. See, peace and encouragement supersede fear and discouragement as we follow through. And so if you're discouraged today, here's what I'm going to encourage you. Keep going, keep moving forward, keep following through. The Bible is clear in Galatians 6 that God is not mocked. As we sow, we reap. And if we don't lose heart, we will reap in due season. So if you're discouraged and frustrated with your role in ministry, your role in life, just keep doing what God said you do. Follow through out of love for him, not because of results, not because things are going absolutely well, not because you understand what the next step is, not because people are staying or people are leaving, but because you know God's called you and he promises to bring life. He promises the power of the Holy Spirit. He promises the manifestation of himself. He promises the presence of God. He promises peace and encouragement as we follow through. So for leaders today, keep following through because Jesus is with you. Let your love be manifest in the form of following through, and he will manifest himself to and through us. I truly believe that. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later.